Hello everyone, my name is Grace. What if, what if schools around the world had to shut down, leaving children without classrooms and teachers? This was a question that was thrown at educators in 2020. It was a challenge that hit hard, especially with educators in the performing arts, because much of performing arts has a physical component. Without touching the musical instruments, without hearing the actual sounds of the choir singing in unison, the experience of learning and enjoying music is an opportunity missed. But given the current physical restrictions that teachers and students continue to face today, it is crucial that we find alternative method for providing music education to students. And to this end, I sought to find and evaluate mobile applications or apps and their utility as a music education tool in the modern learning environment. There have been many examples of prior research on the value of mobile apps as education tools and as vehicle for developing 21st century learners. Based on the P21 framework for 21st century learning, which is a unified vision and set of skills and outcomes that are integral for students to succeed in school and in the modern workplace. These include what is known as the FORCES: critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication. However, applicable research centered around developing these skills through music education mobile apps had not been a focal point. For example, I found it hard to figure out which apps spoke true to the 21st century education values and to recommend them to fellow educators or my students. There was also lack of research on how to develop music education apps in terms of better addressing the modern learning experience. This is why my research focuses on producing systematic evaluation and analysis of music education apps that satisfy the development of these 21st century thinking skills with the specific objective of helping and guiding app developers create more educationally effective and impactful apps in the future. Based on literature review, I created an assessment and a scoring rubric called Chance 34, which is composed of 6 areas and 34 questions one needs to ask to evaluate our music education app in terms of its effectiveness in developing the 21st century outcomes and skills. A total of 100 asks were selected to be evaluated by this assessment. Why 100? Well, I thought it was a high enough number to impress people. Joking aside, in terms of what types of apps were selected, that encompassed the various type of music learning apps like apps that taught children how to sing, apps that taught how to play piano and different instruments, music theory apps, ear training apps, and even music composition apps. Apps that were intended for adults or mature audience were excluded, and most of the apps were for audience of age 5 to 11. Going over 100 apps, evaluating these based on a rubric made of 34 questions was a very time-consuming task. Very time-consuming task, but I love doing it, and it revealed some very interesting results coming from the analysis. So, what kind of interesting takeaways did I get from reviewing 100 music application apps? First, I was impressed by the variety of resources we have available for music learning, especially for learning to play instruments, recording music, and creating music. Many of these were beautifully designed and visually appealing and often had characters, sounds, and rewarding policies which enhanced the app experience. Second, I was also impressed by the quality of personalized learning. Personalized learning in the app given the price point. Many of the apps scored well in the educational functions and convenience areas of my rubric. In particular, those that had a spiral curriculum, a curriculum designed where topics and subjects are revisited iteratively but with deepening complexity every time, had great overall scores. For example, one of piano instruction app repeatedly offered music theory lectures, personalized quizzes, music appreciation in between piano playing and practicing sessions. The experience was not unlike having a personal tutor providing feedback. Oh my God. The price of the instrumental instructional apps ranged from around $10 to $30 per month or $80 to $180 annually. However, the actual music education content in some of these apps left a lot to be desired. Much of the information and content felt like it was stuck in the 19th century. In fact, a majority of the music pieces that were used in the apps were also from the 19th century. Surprisingly, for the questions that assess the amount of effective learning, most apps did not score well, and none were able to achieve a perfect score. Additionally, one of the lowest scoring areas for all apps were the questions that assess the aspect of culturally responsive learning, which is an approach that tries to make meaningful references between what students learn in school and their cultures, languages, and experiences. A big focus for 21st century learning is the fostering of culturally diverse learning environments, and a large part of that comes from students being able to understand their own culture and history. The ultimate goal is for children to be able to enjoy exploration, express their own unique experiences, and recognize influences in music coming from their personal life. Also, the lowest scoring area was the questions that assessed the amount of cognitive engagement. This was due in large part because of the lack of apps that sought to develop creative thinking skills, which was only found in music composition apps. Lastly, I was disappointed by the mean score of 73.7 out of a maximum of 102. It, be, it became evident that most apps scored high in one area while doing poorly in other areas. While I was not able to find the perfect music education app, I think this rubric can serve as a guideline for developers and educators of the important qualities that should be integrated into apps if they are to be effective tools of music education. So you can find a visualization of how the 100 apps fare aggregately in the six areas in my thesis. Conclusion. I believe that mobile apps and technological advancements can become vehicles for better learning, especially in music. Developers must work together with educators in order to create apps that can integrate more modern and progressive learning approaches, especially those outlined in the P21 learning framework. In order to prove that music apps are effective education tools, I would like to see comparative experimental studies that test the learning experience with music education app against in-person lessons. I think it would be also be great if there was a platform where we could introduce the most effective music education apps. Also, I look forward to seeing analog music education resources being converted to mobile apps, especially more multidisciplinary approaches and applications of technological advancements like AR. I believe these mobile apps could assist the learning experience in the home, but also be impactful in the classroom learning environment, which have become more relevant than ever today. I hope my research can play at least a small role in helping students enjoy learning music. Thank you.